Hello, everybody. I think Jen kind of froze there for a second
I
because she was going to
did.
do the intro.
Sorry about that, guys. How are you, Miss Candy?
I'm good. How are you, Miss Jen?
I'm good, thank you.
So we're missing Miss Megan and we're missing Miss Carrie. Carrie is off
Yeah.
having some alone time with her man
Yep.
R&R, which they definitely need. And then Miss Megan is headed your way for some exciting things.
Yes. So, Megan and I will be covering the ACC Women's Tournament this week. So, woohoo!
Awesome, awesome. Then you'll have to give me previews because
Of course.
I'm going to announce tonight that Scott and I are actually going to the women's Final Four. We're going to be covering it. This will be a first time for me covering even a women's event, which I think, and that's kind of crazy, but it's kind of cool all in the same breath.
It really is. And honestly, this is the first time I'm covering any type of actual basketball game other than watching it and like tweeting about it or what have you.
I've done
Um,
guys, I've done FAU, and I've done NBA. I've even done, but I've never done women. So this will be cool. And it's going to be, that's not way in advance. It's like a month in advance because it's not until April, but still, just way cool.
yeah.
Way cool. Something different that we haven't done before. And so excited. I'll be taking pictures and Scott will be talking to people like Scott.
Scott talks to people?
Once in a while.
Okay.
I mean, he writes too, so because he wrote a book.
He does. And you take really awesome photographs.
Thanks, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's all fun.
Uh,
It's all good.
So we haven't been on air in a while together because you were at the Super Bowl and
I was.
then I was covering something and then my floors were finally being replaced. So yay, it's not a hazard anymore.
Yeah,
It was a
you've been
hazard.
kind of busy,
Just a little bit.
just a
It's
little bit.
okay.
It is.
Starting to calm down
Yes. So
in
then
the
we can talk.
Matthews Hood.
Yes.
So some exciting stuff has been happening. I'm going to let you cover hockey first.
Oh my
Is
goodness.
that okay? Because I know
That's
we've
fine.
got some implicate. Can't say the word I'm trying to say. I cannot say IMPLICATIONS.
Implications. You are too funny. So if we weren't done last week because we were having technical difficulties, but for all of you that don't know or should know that the Four Nations happened, and what the Four Nations was during their break, or what they would normally have as a break, they,
Mhm.
instead of doing their NHL All-Star game, which the viewership had been going down and down and down, let's face it, they decided to take four different nations, play them up against each other in a round robin, and then
Yes.
championship, winner take all. Well,
Mhm.
I'm depressed to say, well, not depressed. It was a great champion. I mean, it was great. It was good hockey, and it was good to watch and fun to watch. But did the USA win? No. So that was kind of disappointing for me. I was obviously rooting for
Right.
USA. But like
And
the
it's
first game against Canada on a Saturday night, like you can't ask for better. Hockey night, you know, Canada style.
yeah.
What,
And
three fights within the first 9 seconds? It was crazy.
right.
That was
And I
fun.
understand why. Like I kind of do understand why. I'm not gonna lie, because you know certain people have been talking, and you know. But hey, we don't hate other countries' people, just their governments.
I
So
don't
do
even
the same for us.
I only hate those that want to hurt
Hurt us.
hurt
Yeah.
people. Like I'm not against Canada's hockey team, but do I want them to
No,
beat USA? No. But
exactly.
and let's face it, it was fun. It was good hockey. Um, if those of you that don't know, or if you don't know, Canada did win the championship. They won in extra overtime.
They
McDavid.
did.
McDavid. He is
Um,
something else, but
But it was,
Oh,
I mean, that was a good, fun game. I'll say that.
it was.
Uh, I'm not the biggest hockey fan, so I'll shush because you know so much more about hockey than I do. But you kind of grew up with it. Like hockey didn't become a thing for like Carolinians until like 99, 2000 when I forgot what they were called up in Connecticut, but they moved down to Charlotte or Raleigh and became the Hurricanes.
Okay. Well, I have been a hockey fan for quite a while. Not as avid as a lot of people, but I
Hmm.
followed the Milwaukee Admirals, which at this point are an extension of the National Predators. But I
Hmm.
also would go back to college days. I would go to college hockey games. So I remember going to a Frozen Four. In fact, I went to a Frozen Four before. I've never been to a Final Four now that I think about it. In basketball, I've never been to the guys, but I've been to a Frozen Four, which was cool. Like that,
What is a Frozen for?
it's the same thing except in hockey from a Final Four in basketball.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it was cool. That was cool. And we've gone to numerous hockey games, whether it was back with the Milwaukee Admirals or seeing the Wisconsin Badgers play, because the
Right.
Badgers have a good hockey team. But so I've followed it for quite a few years, but not avid like some of these people. I mean, some of the hockey fans get. I mean, they're crazy, but it's a fun crazy. It's a
Um,
fun environment. I mean, I'll be honest with you, if anybody that's watching hasn't gone to live sporting events, we had somebody on one of our shows the other last night and he was saying how he's never been to an MLB game. And I'll be honest, watching something on TV is there is no substitute for being in person. There's no substitute. Yes, you might be able to you get to hear an analyst more obviously when you're not in person, when you're watching
mhm.
on TV, and so you're hearing what we think is an expert calling the game or telling you about the game and giving you little insights. But there is nothing like going and being at a game and the environment around you.
So I've only been to like one hockey game, I think one or two here in Charlotte for the Checkers, and I've always wanted like I it was just not fun.
What? Oh my gosh,
Like
you
it
didn't
was
go
so
with the right
boring. There's like
people.
no
You
fights.
did
There was
not
no
go with the right
nothing.
people.
Hey, snowman.
You did not go with the right people then because they can be a hoot and a holler.
Yes. I mean, I need to go to a fun one because honestly, that's why I'm not that into hockey.
You just need to go to
So,
the right people.
yeah. All right. I'll let you and Scott come make a trip up here and we'll go.
Oh, you'll let us come up to you, not you come down to us. Wait a minute, girlfriend. Hey, I seem to have remembered we did that once. We did come
You
up by
did. And I
you.
took you on a restaurant tour Valentine.
You did. Now it's your
I
turn to
did.
come down here.
But now I would let you actually see my house
Oh,
because
that's
I'm
cool.
really embarrassed of that.
Snowman's actually not only been to a hockey game, he's actually called a hockey game.
Well,
Awesome.
Snowman, you need to let me call a hockey game sometime. Well, maybe we should like
Wait a
handle a
minute.
hockey game.
You don't even enjoy going to games. How could you like
I mean,
call a
like
game?
this
Come
morning,
on.
there's no fights.
You are too funny, Miss Jen. Too funny.
No.
But as we're talking about calling hockey games, there was a big announcement in the NFL arena for those that are
Hmm.
calling it a retirement. None other than who, Jen? Who called it? Who's calling
Jimmy
it?
Johnson is retiring. And I had the privilege of meeting Jimmy Johnson at the Pat Schumer St. Jude's Award event at my first Super Bowl. And I actually posted on Instagram and Facebook one of the pictures. And it was just such an honor to meet him because truly, I do not remember a time in my life when he wasn't on my TV during football season. And I said that to him out of admiration, but I think he took it the wrong way. But I'm not sure. But I meant it out of admiration and respect because who else can? go from college to football to sorry, I thought my name was being called. I was like, oh no. College to football or college to NFL to the booth. Like the only one close to that was Pete Carroll, and now he's back in the NFL, and he
Well,
never went into the booth.
so Jimmy Johnson has done something no one else has done. He won a national championship as a player. He
Mm-hmm.
coached a national championship and he coached a winning Super Bowl team. And that was one of the questions that Scott was talking to him at this Super Bowl. And we will be releasing on the South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel his interview with him. He talked and got a couple of good questions and talked to him about his restaurant down in the Keys and more. I don't want to give out all of the good stuff, but yes, salute to Jimmy Johnson. He played, he coached, and he was a great analyst. I mean, and for him, what I think is great is that he's going out on his own terms
Yeah.
at this, you know what I mean? Like he's not forced to or anything like that. And he's not
No.
young either.
The only thing Jimmy Johnson has been a part of that I did not admire or respect, and a lot of Cowboy fans will appreciate what he did, but I don't. That's why I call you Cowgirl fans. But as we all know, I'm a little bit of a homer. I try to be realistic. But when he allowed Jerry Jones to induct him to the Dallas Cowboys Hall of Fame in my stadium, that was just to me. That was extremely disrespectful to Panther fans, 100%. But it was also disrespectful to him. Why wasn't he inducted into the Dallas Cowboys Hall of Fame when at a home game for them? Why wasn't it an away game?
That's a good question.
Just wondering.
That is the good question. I mean, he started his first head coaching football job at Oklahoma State University in 1979. And then he became Miami's head football coach in 84 and guided the team to victory in 88 Orange Bowl.
That's amazing.
That
Like, I mean,
is.
it's just and he's got to be tired.
He's 81.
He's got to
He's
be tired.
he has got to be. I mean, and I think at this point it's time for him to just relax and
Yeah.
do what, he wants to do, what brings him um joy, not does he have to worry about this social media and what he says on this and what he does that and
Right.
I mean he's oh, he has two sons. He owns a
He has
couple
several
restaurants.
grandkids.
Huh?
He has several grandchildren.
I think he does. I was just looking to see. Um, yeah, he owns Three Rings Restaurant in Miami and owns JJ's Big Chill, a bar and grill located in Key Largo, which we have gone to several times when we go down. His The Three Rings was named after the three championships Johnson won on collegiate and professional level as head coaches. He previously owned a second restaurant under the same name in Oklahoma City, but has closed that. He has a Johnson's fishing boat docked behind his oceanfront home in Esmeralda, Florida. So he's gonna be down in the Keys. That's where he's gonna spend some time. And I know he enjoys fishing and stuff like that. So who
Yeah.
knows? Maybe we'll catch him sometime down at his restaurant.
And he always does have a healthy glow about him. Like he's gotten a little bit of sun, not too much, but a
Right,
little bit of sun.
right.
But yeah, and Brian, I totally agree with you, Star. Jimmy Johnson is a definite legend. No one can ever disagree with that.
Hmm.
I know we're gonna cover a little baseball, but I wanted to talk this. This is ACC fandom, but I don't know if everybody is aware, but there's been a lot of controversy surrounding adding SMU, Stanford, and Berkeley, and to the ACC. They had nowhere to go, and it's been a pretty good fit. I had the I was fortunate enough to cover the ACC tournament championship football game between Clemson and SMU, Well, there. So Clemson and FSU, and it's been rumored that Carolina too, but I don't think Carolina's doing anything right now. Like they're just like still threatening right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they were going to try to leave, and there have been lawsuits in Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Um, but though the ACC, Clemson, and FSU have finally reached in a settlement, the conference announced today. Clemson and FSU will remain full members and will dismiss all pending lawsuits in Florida and CNSC. ACC members will also create an additional revenue distribution model based on viewership. So come on, my FSU fans, y'all might want to start watching because I know Clemson gets a lot of that. But they may rue that day now that Bill Belichick's at Carolina. So they may not be getting the Benjamins they thought they were going to get if it's going to be split. And that's what it's going to be. It's got to be even Steven, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So with the ACC taking like that 1/3 extra between the three. But it'll be very interesting to see. And I love that this was reached the day before the women's tournament kicks off. And as we know, men's ACC tournaments next week. I think the SAC tournament is this week and next week as well.
Think so.
Think so. Makes sense because
Mm-hmm.
it's March. March
Yes,
Madness. Woohoo. We should do a March Madness bracket.
we could.
Yeah, we should do that on the page. We should see if anybody's into it.
We could.
We'll put Carrie in front of charge of that. See, she goes on vacation and I give her homework.
Voluntold.
Sorry, she loves me, I think.
She does. Well, let's talk. We're gonna talk. Let's talk a little briefly about NFL because someone got a big payday today, and deserved. And I would say this is a win-win for that position. And I can tell you, Melfar Jr. has got to be happy because he has been saying how uh, running backs
Mhm.
play such a pivotal role, and yet they were so devalued. And
Yes.
as I think about it, you hear all these wide receivers getting such huge contracts, and I'm like, okay, they touch the ball, they catch it how many times a game? Maybe 10. That would be like a lot, I think. 10 to 15. But yet a running back might catch it and they are handed off the ball. So they touch it way more, and yet they were
Right.
getting paid way less. So good for Saquon Barkley, whether you like him or not. Kudos to him. He's actually going to earn
I don't
41
understand
point.
how anybody could not like Saquon Barkley.
I know, me either. I
Because
mean,
I mean, I don't know. I've always really respected running backs. Like I look at Deontay Foreman. He's not a household name. Dude is stellar.
mhm,
Stellar.
yeah.
But good for him. Good for Saquon. Sorry, this was Saquon, not me.
No, it's good. I mean, he's 28 years old and now he got a 2-year extension worth
Mhm.
41.2 million. So he's getting 20 million a year. The deal includes 36 million in fully guaranteed at signing and the opportunity to earn additional 15 million dollars in incentives. I know players don't necessarily like the incentive clause, but I really like the incentive clause because
I
I
do
think
too.
it really gives them extra motivation.
Right, because then you get somebody without the incentive clause, like Brian Burns last year here, and subsequently his production in New York with the Giants
Hmm.
down.
Exactly.
Just
Exactly.
it's down, and that sucks because Brian Burns is such an athlete.
Hmm.
But and he was the first one I could think of. But then
Oh,
you like, and then the injury clause. I know the injury clause is in there, but I know it's just a fraction of what they get paid. So
right. But kudos to that position finally getting paid. You
yeah,
know.
I think because people were pissed off when Christian McCaffrey got a really big contract with us, but why? Why?
Hmm.
Christian McCaffrey, yeah, he. I hate to say he's injury prone. He is now more so, but he also some of his injuries have come because he's too built. Like he needs to back off the gym just a little bit. His body frame cannot handle what he does, and if he's going to keep doing it, he needs to go see a chiropractor. Like every other day to keep his back in alignment, to keep his hamstrings in check. That being said, I don't understand why, because like I look at some of the, you're right, like they touch it so often and they put their bodies, they and fullbacks put their bodies through a lot. Like
Hmm.
every single football player does, but those two positions do it a lot.
Oh yeah.
And if you have a triple or double or triple threat quarterback like Lamar, Patrick,
Hmm.
Cam, I'm trying to think of who else. Big Ben back in the day.
Hmm.
Like they deserve the money they were getting because they were doing the roles of two and three positions,
Right. Right.
in my opinion. But that's just me. What do I know?
Well, and
I'm
let's
just
face
a
it,
girl.
the draft is going to be coming up. Little
Yes.
bit,
Are we
little
gonna
bit
go this
about,
year?
little about. They're going to talk. They're talking about Shadur these days and how he's got an attitude, and is that good or is that bad during interviews? And I'm like,
But doesn't he have an attitude because out of self preservation?
don't you want someone? And here's what I'm going to say: you want someone that's got a little edge about them because you want them to have that competitive edge, and do you want them to have a little bit of swagger because they have to have confidence. You're talking about a quarterback position. You're not talking about some of the other positions. When you're a
Right.
quarterback, you're typically a leader of that team. And so yes, I think you have to have a little bit. Now, where I don't think you need it is if you're being disrespectful to anybody else. That's where it
Agreed.
draws the
Agreed.
lines.
And I'll say this,
Confidence.
who you were describing just a second ago, two words, one name, Marshawn Lynch. I'm here so I don't get fined.
Hmm.
That's all he has to say. But he's also going to get his attitude from his daddy.
Hmm.
I don't like Dion. I'm sorry. Do I respect the athleticism? 100%. But
Right.
I don't like Dion. He's always had a bad attitude. Um, and that's prevalent. So check yourself before you wreck yourself, because you don't, you're your daddy's boy, son, but you ain't your daddy. And you haven't
Hmm.
proven yourself to be a dual threat athlete like your father did.
Right. Right. So it'll be interesting who goes what and where. And I think it's also going to be really interesting having it in Green Bay, the draft, because
Are we
uh,
going?
we are not. I know, I know, but uh, I think it'll just be really interesting.
If I go, will you go?
Oh, I don't know.
We can leave Scott at home in charge of the beach.
Uh, I don't think that'll work. But um, when we were at the Super Bowl, they had a booth there for the the Packers in the draft, and they kind of were we were talking about it. In fact, we did. Scott did an interview, and we'll put that up on our YouTube channel. We haven't done that yet. We're kind of waiting closer to the draft, where they talk about it and how they're promoting it and how they're going to make it Wisconsin, which I think is really cool. Each
Oh,
draft
yeah.
makes it more about the city that they're hosting, and yes, hotels are going to be expensive, and I've heard everybody complain left and right that you can't get a room here and there, and there aren't a whole lot of hotel rooms. They're not going to have, and they don't want the same crowd that Detroit had. They don't have the capacity for that, and
Right.
we don't need that.
Yeah.
But they can have a successful and great draft.
Right. They can.
So,
And you've got to measure to your city. Like, personally, I don't think that certain cities should host the Super Bowl.
Green Bay's not going to get the Super Bowl.
Right.
We'll never get the
Charlotte's not
Super.
going to get the Super Bowl unless we put a roof over it.
Hmm. Right.
Come on, DT, put a roof on it, boo. I know that stadium. You can add it. I swear. I talked to the engineer who constructed it.
Yeah. So like Green Bay's never going to get a Super Bowl. So those are the cities that I think should really get the draft because I think that's cool because
Yeah,
you're
you're
appeasing
sharing that.
base and stuff like that. I know I only have a couple more minutes. The one thing that has happened since the last time we really talked, the boys of summer are back. Spring training is in full bloom.
Woohoo!
Not that I've been to a game, but I could because there's all kinds of games going on around me, and it's just cool.
All
Like
right, Florida.
the Grapefruit
You know,
League. So It is funny as is, but
I need you
and
to
it's
send
kind
me.
of.
I need to get you to send me some Honeybell oranges. They expensive up here.
I'll have to send you some. It is funny because ironically, I live in the state where the Grapefruit League is, and I have not
Right?
yet been to all the venues in the Grapefruit League. But we
Why
have
not?
gone, but we've gone to Arizona and we've gone to all of the Cactus League stadiums because we put that on our bucket list. We I think, it's kind of like where you live, you don't always do the things that everybody like the
Right.
tourist things that people do. And so I live here, so I think, oh, I could do it at any time. But we haven't. We've gone to quite a few of them. There aren't
Hmm.
a ton left, but and we visited some of them when they didn't have a game, but
Right.
not the same as. So we're looking to go to one or two games yet this spring. So to
Fair
some of the
enough.
games we haven't. So
I'm excited for you with that, and I'm
I,
gonna be. Oh, I know what I was. I was doing stuff for NASCAR Hall of Fame. I
there you
lost all
go.
of my content. My SD card was cropped.
Oh,
So fingers crossed, I will be applying to cover the Coca Cola 600 and this in over Memorial Day. Girl, I cannot speak. I'm sorry.
uh-oh. That's
Sorry.
not good.
And my mind's like going 500 miles a minute. It makes no sense to anybody but me. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry to
That's
our fans.
yes, yes, yes.
But I would like to do the grapefruit tour too, because they're just cool stadiums with a lot of history. Like you should like
JetBlue is really cool. That we've gone to. That's the Boston Red Sox, and that's the same as up there. So that we've been to that one. We did that one. That one was cool. We've been to the newest one, which was the one with the Houston Astros and the Washington Nationals down here, and we've been to Roger Dean where the Marlins
hmm
play. But we're talking about possibly going to where the Twins. The one thing I will say
Oh, that'd be fun.
that's the one thing that I'll say is very different about the Grapefruit League as opposed to the Cactus League. If you go out to the Cactus League, within I think it's like an hour and a half, you can get to each of the different stadiums. Whereas down here in Florida, you can't because there are some on the East Coast and there are some on the West Coast. So it does take you
That's
longer.
fair.
So
Yeah.
there are some that are good 4 hours away, 3 to 4 hours away from us. So
It's
yeah,
all right. You got pretty drives.
exactly, exactly.
I mean, just
But
go down the
it's only a
101.
month. Spring training is a short time. That's the one thing. So
Aren't you getting sick and don't you need a leave of absence from work?
yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
Well, everybody follow Candy over to South Florida Tribune, where she and that man we both love, she loves him a little more than I do since she married him. We'll be doing the Inside the Pigskin tonight.
Yes.
And whom she referred to, Melfar Jr., will be on there as well as several other folks. And we are, so go ahead and jump over there. They'll be starting about 8:15, 8:30.
Yep. 8:15. About.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Yes. South Florida
And
Tribune YouTube channel. But be
yes,
back
check them
here
out.
next week Tuesday, and hopefully we'll have
And
more of the chicks.
And if you guys haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do so. We would really appreciate it. And to South Florida Tribune, we both need those subscribers. We appreciate it.
Exactly. Have a
We'll
great
talk to you
week.
guys next week, and hopefully my brain will be calmed down.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.